Hi students, today's topic is orthogonality in complex functions. Orthogonality in complex functions. Before going to today's topic, I want to clarify one thing. Up to now, we discussed about real functions of real variables. Real functions of real variables. Okay. Here, up now we discussed as taken the examples as g1 of t, g2 of t, and so on, gr of t, or you can have taken x1 of t, x2 of t, so on. So we'll take examples as these ones. So we have considered the signals as g1 of t, g2, or we consider the functions as g1 of t, g2 of t. So they are the real functions of real variable t, But now I am going for complex functions of real variable t. Okay, complex functions of real variable t. That means up to now we saw regarding the real functions, but from now onwards we will see about the complex functions. Okay, that is today's topic is orthogonality in complex functions. First point. Now, so I will ask you one question before starting the orthogonality in complex functions. That is, before going on to the complex functions, I will ask you one thing. So, which is from yesterday's class, previous class. That is, for a set gr of t, where r equal to 1, 2, and so on. Consider a set gr of t. That is, in this we have the functions as g1 of t, g2 of t, g3 of t, and so on, which are mutually orthogonal to each other, over the interval t1 to t2, So here I am considering a set gr of t where r equal to 1, 2, and so on. This set of functions are mutually orthogonal over the interval t1 to t2. Then by using that we can write the equation as integral t1 to t2. See, for two signals to be orthogonal, what is the condition? Integral of the product of the two signals over the interval must and should be equal to 0. So I will use that concept here. Simple. Here this is a set gr of t. In that we have the equations as g1 of t, g2 of t, and so on. Okay. Now these are all mutually orthogonal over the interval t1 to t2. So by using that I can write integral t1 to t2. Consider that signals as gm of t into gn of t dt. Gm of t into gn of t dt equal to see, if m value is not equal to n, that is m is 1, n is 2, that is g1 of t into g2 of t, integral t1 to t2 g1 of t into g2 of t dt. As this g1 of t and g2 of t are orthogonal, then this must and should be equal to 0. This is equal to 0 when if m is not equal to n. If m is not equal to n, integral t1 to t2 gm of t into gn of t equal to 0. If gm of t into gn of t dt equal, that is in this case if m equal to n, that is both are same, that is integral m is 1, then n is also 1, g1 of t into z1 of t, what will get? Integral t1 to t2 g1 square of t dt. That will be represented with a constant k. Here m is equal to n, so we will use the suffix as m or n, can like anything, km. Okay, so simply for a set gr of t where r equal to 1, 2, 3, so on, which are mutually orthogonal over the interval t1 to t2, we can write integral t1 to t2 gm of t into zn of t dt will be equal to 0 if m is not equal to n, and that will be equal to km if m equal to n. So this is the final equation for all the explanation that I had given in the previous classes. So here these are all regarding the real functions. The real functions we can write like this. Now we are moving on to the next one, complex functions. So how the orthogonality will takes place in complex functions. How the orthogonality will takes place in complex functions. That is today's topic. So today's topic is, what is today's topic? Orthogonality. So today's topic is orthogonality. Orthogonality in complex functions. Orthogonality in complex functions. Series 1. Orthogonality in complex functions. Okay, first we have to take example as a complex functions. So for that, so up to now we have taken real functions like g1 of t, g2 of t, g3 of t, so on, or x1 of t, x2 of t, so on. So I have taken the real functions of real variable t. Now I am considering two signals, considering two functions as complex functions. Let us consider x1 of t and x2 of t as complex functions of real variable t, as complex functions of real variable t. Here the x1 of t and x2 of t are complex functions. This is the first case, x1 of t and x. Now, so these are the complex functions of real variable t. Now, how can we represent x1 of t in terms of x2 of t? This is the general way what I did for real functions. So in the real functions, when I want to represent one signal in terms of another signal, what I done? Yeah. So I can represent x1 of t in x2 of t as, so the approximation of x1 of t in x2 of t as x1 of t equal to some constant. I consider constant as c12 into x2 of t plus some error signal, error function, that is error function. Are you clear? Okay, same while starting with vectors also. How can you represent one vector in terms of another vector? Can represent v1 equal to c12 into v2 plus ve. So this is a representation of one vector in terms of another vector. In the same way, I will represent the complex function x1 of t in terms of x2 of t as x1 of t equal to c12 into x2 of t plus error function xc of t. Okay, so it's the exact approximation. Now we go for the approximate. That is, you can write like this. From the x1 of t is approximately equal to, not exactly, approximately equal to c12 x2 of t, c12 x2 of t. Okay, see, these are all regarding the real functions. These are all regarding the real. Okay, so this is regarding the orthogonality in complex functions. For that I had taken x1 of t and x2 of t as complex functions, where x1 of t equal to c12 x2 of t plus xc of t. x1 of t is approximately equal to c12 x2 of t. Clear? Now, so here, what is this value of c1 of 2? So can you tell me the value of this c12, c suffix 12? So the constant c12. So the similarity of the functions depends on c12. The constant will plays a major role in vectors or in real value functions or in complex functions. The main criteria will be given to c12. So we have the c12 has such much importance that based on the value of c12 we will there is a similarity of the two signals or the two functions will be explained, the similarity of the two functions will be explained based on the value of C12. Here the value of C12 will be given by okay. So we have to choose the value of C12 such that error should be very minimum. Error should be very minimum. We have to choose that one. So I gone for the derivation while in real valued functions. So same thing here also done. I will giving the answer as C12 for minimum error. So error should be minimum. Then only the approximation is perfect. To get the perfect approximation, error should be minimum. So for this should be minimum. The value of C12 should be integral T1 to T2 x1 of t x2 star of t dt whole divided by x2 star of t dt whole divided by okay integral t1 to t2 x2 of t x2 star of t dt. So this is the value of C12. Okay, the optimum value of C12 to minimize the mean square error is given by C12 equal to integral T1 to T2 x1 of t x2 star of t dt by integral T1 to T2 x2 of t x2 star of t dt. Simple. So this is for complex functions. Okay, what is this x2 star of t? What is this x2 star of t? Here x2 star of t is nothing but the complex conjugate function of x2 of t. Complex conjugate of x2 star of t is complex conjugate of x2 of t. Simple. If x2 of t value is a plus jb, so jb is a imaginary term, a plus jb, then complex conjugate is a minus jb. So that's it. So here x2 star of t is the complex conjugate of x2 of t. Okay, this one. So this is for complex functions. Can anyone tell me what is the C12 value for the minimized mean square error in real valued functions? In real valued function, what is the value of C12? In real valued functions, the C12 equal to integral T1 to T2 x1 of t into x2 of t dt by integral T1 to T2 x2 square of t dt, because there is no complex conjugates there, because they are the real valued functions. Hence we will get integral T1 to T2 x1 of t into x2 of t dt by integral T1 to T2 x2 square of t dt. But for complex functions, the value of C12, the optimum value of C12 to minimize the mean square error is given by C12 equal to integral T1 to T2 x1 of t x2 star of t dt by integral T1 to T2 x2 of t x2 star of t dt. Here C12 equal to integral T1 to T2 x1 of t x2 star of t dt by integral T1 to T2 x2 of t x2 star of t dt. Okay, for complex functions x1 of t and x2 of t, where x2 star of t is the complex conjugate of x2 of t. Okay, now I will ask you a question. What is the condition for two vectors to be orthogonal? What is the condition for two vectors to be orthogonal? Simple. The dot product of the two vectors should be equal to 0. Okay, and we can say two vectors are 0 if C12, the value of the constant is 0. And I will ask you another question. When you can say two signals are orthogonal to each other, that is, the integral of product of the two signals or the given interval is 0, then you can say that two signals are orthogonal. Or simply, there also, if the constant is 0, then they are orthogonal. Now, if these two signals are said to be orthogonal, here the signals are x1 of t and x2 of t. In the complex functions also, if I want to say the two signals as orthogonal, then the constant C12 must and should be equal to 0. As in the case of vectors, same way, for the two complex functions x1 of t and x2 of t is said to be mutually orthogonal, the value of C12 is 0, will be 0 for x1 of t and x2 of t to be orthogonal. Okay, clear. Now substitute that value. Let us consider these two functions are orthogonal. So to get the condition, I am substituting the value of 0 here. I am substituting the value of 0. So 0 equal to integral t1 to t2 x1 of t x2 star of t dt by integral t1 to t2 x2 of t x2 star of t dt. Now cross multiply this denominator to this one. So if you bring these to this side, so this thing into 0 is 0. Anything into 0 is 0. So for substituting C12 equal to 0 in this equation, what we get? We get integral t1 to t2 x1t into x2 star of t dt will be equal to 0 because this is 0. So we'll bring this denominator to this side. So this denominator into 0 is 0. The value of the denominator into 0 is 0. So the numerator value will be equal to 0. That is integral t1 to t2 x1 of t into x2 star of t dt will be equal to 0. So you can represent this in other way also. So this will be also, this also be represented as integral. This can be also be represented as integral t1 to t2 x1 star of t into x2 of t dt. Both are same. This one is same, this one. So this one value is equal to 0 means this value is also equal to 0 because these both are same. So integral t1 to t2 x1 of t into x2 star of t dt is same as integral t1 to t2 x1 star of t into x2 of t. We can mathematically also prove that one. Both are same. Okay. So if you go on the formulas, the both will give the same answers. So for that, we can write this value is same as this value. Okay. Both are same. So that will be equal to 0. That is integral t1 to t2 x1 of t x2 star of t dt equal to integral t1 to t2 x1 star of t x2 of t dt. That will be equal to 0. It will be equal to 0. So this is the condition for two complex functions to be orthogonal. When I can say the two complex functions as orthogonal, if integral t1 to t2 x1 of t into x2 star of t dt is equal to 0, then I can say the two complex functions x1 of t and x2 of t are orthogonal. So this is the condition for the two complex functions to be orthogonal. Okay, simple. This one. Now let's consider if there is a set of complex functions, there is a set of complex functions gr of t. There is a set of complex functions gr of t where r equal to 1 comma 2 comma so on. That is g1 of t comma g2 of t comma g3 of t and so on, gr of t and so on. So these set of functions, these set of complex functions are mutually orthogonal, over the interval t1 to t2. If these set of functions are mutually orthogonal over the interval t1 to t2. Okay, so then how can I write the condition? Already at the start of the class I write the conditions for real functions. Now the same equation has to be written for complex functions. What is the change in that equation? For complex, what is the change? Simple. For a set gr of t where r equal to 1 2 so on, that is g1 of t g2 of t is a set of complex functions which are mutually orthogonal over the interval t1 to t2. Then condition is, how can you write? Integral, then you can write integral t1 to t2, integral t1 to t2 gm of t into gn star of t dt will be equal to 0, will be equal to 0. if m is not equal to n. If m is not equal to n, that is m is 1 and n is 2. So g1 of t into g2 star of t dt will be equal to 0. 0 because these are orthogonal. So if m value is not equal to n, the condition is this one. That is, already I said gr of t is a complex functions which are mutually orthogonal over the interval t1 to t2. So I have to go for this equation. So I represent this equation generalized form because I am using m and n, where m is not equal to n, m is 1, n is 2, or m is 3, n is 5. Then I can write integral t1 to t2 gm of t gn star of t dt equal to 0. If m equal to n, both are same, then what you have to write? Simply that will be a constant. So you can write k suffix m or n, whatever it may be, km, that will be a constant. So for a set of complex functions gr of t where r equal to 1 comma 2 comma so on, which are mutually orthogonal over the interval t1 to t2, we can write integral t1 to t2 gm of t into gn star of t dt equal to 0 if m is not equal to n, that will be equal to km if m equal to n, where gn star of t is nothing but the complex conjugate of gn of t. Okay, this one. If you consider complete set, if the set is a complete set, consider this set is a complete set. Let us consider this is a complete set. That is g1 of t, comma g2 of t, comma g3 of t, and so on. If this set gr of t or equal to 1 comma 2 comma so on is a complete set, then I can represent any function or any signal using these orthogonal functions, using these complex orthogonal functions. I can represent any function or any signal. Let us take a signal x of t. Now this x of t can be represented using this orthogonal functions as x of t equal to c1 g1 of t plus c2 g2 of t plus so on plus cr gr of t plus so on up to infinity, because this is an infinite series, that is it's a complete set. So using a complete set I can represent any function. So here I am representing a function x of t, or I can represent a signal x of t using this orthogonal function set, that like c1 g1 of t plus c2 g2 of t plus so on cr gr of t plus so on. Okay, so this is the exact representation of the function x of t in terms of the given set of orthogonal functions, whereas the given set is a complete set. So in this I need the value of constant. What is the value of constants? c1 c2 c3 so on. So I am considering that constant as cr. Can anyone tell me what is the value of that cr?
What that?
Constant cr. So I need the value of that constant cr. What is the value of that constant cr? Cr will be equal to integral t1 to t2 x of t into gr of t dt divided by or simply gr star of t. Okay, so from this the value of that constant c1 c2 c3 and so on cr, that cr will be given as cr equal to integral t1 to t2 x of t into gr star of t dt by integral t1 to t2 gr of t into gr star of t dt. Okay, this is the value of this cr. Same, so yes, we written here in the same way. So generally see, if the two signals, the constant is x1 of t into x2 star of t. In the same way, here I am approximating the signal x of t. So first I written the x of t, and here I can take r value 1, 2, 3, whatever it may be, because this x of t should be orthogonal to this one. Okay, x of t into gr star of t dt divided by denominator x2 of t into x2 star of t. This is gr of t. So gr of t into gr star of t. So using this I can return this one. So for this approximation, exact approximation of x of t, I can find out the values of c1 c2, that is cr, by using this formula. Whereas this one, integral t1 to t2 gr of t into gr star of t dt will be taken as some constant k suffix r. We are going with respect to r, that is k r. So in place of this I can write kr, because this is a constant. I can write kr. So finally the value of cr will be equal to 1 by kr integral t1 to t2 x of t gr star of t dt. So this is the final value of our CR. So the constant. So for this, the constant CR will be equal to 1 by KR into integral T1 to T2 x of t GR star of t dt. So this is the explanation regarding orthogonality in complex functions. Okay, I hope you all are clear with the orthogonality in complex functions. So I explained each and every point individually. So this is today's class. Okay, so with this we completed our first unit. Okay, thank you one and all.